What is going on, boys? Welcome back to Kayak Fishing Weekly as a part of the Serious Angler Network. So excited to have you guys here because today we've got three river rats in the studio that are waiting to drop their expert tips on swim bait fishing, glide bait fishing in fast and moving water. I'm really excited to get into this topic with you guys. If you're trying to get into swim bait fishing, if you're trying to get into glide bait fishing and you've been thinking about it, this is the episode for you. So let's hop right into it and let's get in the studio with these guys. We've got a great episode planned for y'all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the studio. Welcome to KFW. We're in here with a couple of river rats. Today's episode is pretty special because these guys are pretty well known all over the nation for what they do in our river systems with swim baits, with glide baits. Guys, we've got Manny from Skinny Water Boys TV in the house. My boy's in here. He's already got the glide bait. We've got Marshall, Mr. Georgia Bassmaster, right here from the state of Georgia. And of course, coming back to the show, helping me co-host today, we've got Eric Atypical Outdoors. And we're ready. We're ready for an awesome show. We're going to kind of keep it relaxed tonight. For those of you guys listening, we're going to keep an open discussion and keep an open mind to what these guys say because they fish a lot. They catch a lot of big fish with a lot of big baits and a lot of swim baits. So, guys, what's going on? Eric, I'll start with you, man. How you doing?
Shoot, doing pretty good, man. Trying to stay warm and try to fish when I can.
Yeah, bro. Marshall, what about you, man?
Yeah, man, doing great. Same thing, trying to not freeze to death out here on this water.
What's because you're in here in Georgia with us, but I feel like you're in another country, bro. You're so far down south. What's the weather like down there right now? What's the water temps?
Well, the water temp is about 45 degrees on most of my lakes.
Wow. Wow. Dude, that's colder than Lake Lanier right now. That's crazy. Lake Lanier is 50.
Yeah, well, a lot of the lakes I have in my area are shallower, so they get colder faster.
Yeah, they're smaller.
So,
yeah.
Like one of the lakes I was just fishing at, it's only 18 foot deep at the deepest spot. So you got all that,
no, absolutely,
all that 8 or 10 foot of water, like it's going to turn like that. So,
yeah, good point. Manny, what's going on, dude? How are you doing, bro?
Doing good, doing good. Hey, our freezing, it's freaking nice over here.
Manny said they're still hitting top water over here.
Dude, they are.
What kind of weather? What kind of weather y'all got over there right now?
Shoot, I mean, it gets cold at night in the 30s, like hot mid 30s, probably like 35, right? But then it's like 70s in the day, dude. It's perfect.
Nice.
Water temps are like mid to low 60s still. Top water's hitting. They're still chasing. It's nice. I'm like hearing y'all talk. I'm like, bro, pass me up on that.
Nah, man. I mean, it is cold, but I mean, I will say, man, like, dude, I've had some phenomenal like fishing in the last few weeks. Like I remember one day going out to the river. The lowest was like 28 a couple weeks ago, 28 degrees. Dude, they were chewing. They were eating, but
28.
Yeah, it was 28. I had Bailey on here last week, and I think in New York, they had like 30-mile-an-hour gusts. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 3 degrees up there.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Nah. And there's kayak fishing in that or on the boat?
No.
Oh.
He was hunting, bro. He went to hunt.
Oh, I was about to say, that's a good hunting, but no.
I think he said fishing season is officially like it's closed, it's done. So
that's wild to me. Like fishing season out of season, like it's out of season. You know what I mean? That's wild.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine that, bro. Like what? That would be terrible. Yeah, but man, I appreciate you guys being in here. I'm excited to get going, and I know that the people are listening right now are probably excited to hear more about this topic because it's getting really popular. So big baits, you kind of had like this really, tight knit community a few years back. And it was this thing where, I feel like this is no knock on anybody, but I feel like when I used to watch old swim bait videos, I saw 3 things: giant rods, John boats that were beat to hell, and like Vans, sneakers and hats. Like, I feel like that was the vibe back then.
Little hats, like
Flat,
Yeah, dude. Like I was talking like reverse flat, like
all
like
black and olive.
yeah,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
yeah. And so then with the popularity of swim bait creators and makers blowing up, and then people like you guys now chasing from the kayak or Marshall sometimes from the boat, it's really starting to blow up. But I know of a lot of people who kind of they really struggle to get into swim bait fishing, right? One of the questions that I get a lot on YouTube, and it's something that I'm growing into. I'm no expert at all. Is about swim bait fishing. What rod? How does that bait work in the current? Because doing it on the lake on one thing, but I'm going to be really honest right now. I think fishing the river with a glide bait, with a swim bait, um, in current with a moving kayak, a moving vessel, I think it's another level of difficult, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. Marshall, what do you think, bro?
Yeah, I mean, it can be a little difficult, but it's probably, as you know, the most rewarding fishing there is. Especially
Yeah.
with a glide bait, you're going to pull out the biggest fish you see out there, guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of these and I ask you, Marshall, because you do some fishing out of the boat and
Yep.
you do some fishing out of the river as well. So, but we've just got a few questions that are really going to point people in the right direction. And like I said, it's open discussion. We're hanging out tonight. We're going to have a good time. We're going to talk about fishing. But my first question, so for those of you guys listening in the car, at home, wherever you're at right now, first question of the night. So what is, in y'all's opinion, the biggest mistake anglers make when they bring a glide bait to the river? Manny, we'll kick it off to you.
Dude, honestly, it's the rod and the reel that they have set up is like the number one thing I see is like they got a 100 to 150 size bait caster with like a 7.3 7 foot rod that's like an extra heavy rate loaded for like a rate for like 1 up to 1 ounce, and you see them trying to chunk this thing and like, and you can still throw it, but you're not going to be accurate. You're going to hurt ligaments in your arms, and then you're going to break that reel in no time. That's probably the number one thing I see is it's undersized equipment.
Okay. Marshall, what about you, man?
I'd say the biggest mistake people make is putting it down too fast. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people give it 30, 40, 50 minutes, maybe an hour. They don't get a bite, they put it down. And it's like, you guys know that glide baits is persistence. Sometimes you're going to be out there for 2, 3 hours, might not get a bite, and then you might get into them and you might just whack 10 of them in the next 30 minutes. So it's like you got to be persistent and you got to figure out where they're at. So don't give up is my tip.
Great point. Eric?
Biggest thing for me is you have to be willing to lose that bait. People are afraid.
Oof.
Oh, glad baits
Dude.
are
You
expensive.
slow down, man. You're touching some nerves, bro.
I mean, we got ABS baits now. Thankfully, that makes it a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
being real, bro, if you're not willing to throw it right there by that laydown in that nasty stuff while you're moving in your kayak, you're not gonna get a lot of the fish, especially spotted bass or big largies. You got to be willing to throw that bait into the nasty stuff because a lot of times they'll come up and eat it. But you got to commit. You got to
Yeah.
commit.
Dude, I had a buddy call me, and he was I'm going to say perusing through Tackle Warehouse. He was just skimming, looking, and he was complaining about the price of the ABS trick shad. I mean, rightfully, he's not a swim bait guy. He's trying to get into it. He's used to paying now, like I'd say, top dollar for a mega bass jerk bait, $22. You know what I'm saying? 22 bucks. But then we get into like, oh man, I want this color and that color. That's 60 bucks. That's another 50 bucks. We're talking about 100 something dollars now. And if I lose it, I mean, which it's easier in my opinion to lose a glide bait. So I think that's one of the biggest things. Like for me, you guys hit on the three things that I struggled with the most. Number one, I always had underrated equipment. Number two, I literally, Eric, you know this, I would give up too easily. But number three, the biggest one of them all, I didn't want to drop that money. So for the angler that's trying to get into swim bait fishing, like break that down for us. What's some of the gear that you guys trust for someone that's getting into it? Let's start with let's start with Rod, Manny. What are some like series out there that you trust that are affordable that can handle the big bait?
I would say, well, right now I'm using old 18 rod series, and right, I mean, it's like $200 for the 711 I mainly use. That's like 2 to 4 ounces.
Yeah.
So like, if you're looking for something starter and you don't want to have to buy another rod again in the next 6 months once you start getting more familiar with things, you have to be spending in at least 2 to 250 range. I think
Okay.
Dobbins is another good one too that you can start off with. You can get those ones at very, very affordable rates. Because I even got the Daiwa 801 XH something that was like 105 off Tackle Warehouse. I mean, it's like back to that big ass rod. You're freaking chunking out 8 foot rod. Come to find out, you don't even need. You can get away with a 711.
Yeah.
But I would say the rod, that size of rod, around that price range.
Okay. Awesome. And then Marshall, what about Baitcasters, man? What do you think there?
Well, I may not be the best person to speak on this because I'm sponsored by Lews, so I only have Lews reels.
Love the
So
transparency.
the
Yeah.
the guys who, if you want to throw a Shimano or a Daiwa, I know a lot of big swim bait guys love Daiwas and stuff like that.
Mm. Hmm.
I do have I throw a lot of mine on the Lews Customs, the BB1 Pros. I mean, they work just fine for me. I've never had any issues, and
Yeah.
they're $189 to $225 for the reel. So I mean, make your own conclusion. I'd say just try it out. But
Eric, what about for you, man? What about let's get into line and then a couple of swim baits that people can try out right now that are maybe, let's say, what do you guys think is the average price for a good swim bait right now? What do you guys think? Just
With today's
$85.
inflation,
Like
is it?
ABS.
no, like a handmade, like the real deal, like
Oh, it's got to be at least 135 to 150.
yeah,
Yeah.
Marshall.
I mean, I'd say if you can find one for 85, you just stole somebody's bait. But yeah, probably the 130 to 180 range is probably what you're looking at for actually a good quality made glide bait.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then let's do under 100, Eric. What are like a couple of swim baits that you trust that perform well in the river? Because there are some swim baits and that just have not been made or customized for the river. They don't do well in current. What do you got for us, man?
Yeah, man, you barking up a tree, man, because every
Yeah,
swim
come
bait
on.
is not made for the river. You will
No,
spend a
no.
lot of money and hurt your feelings because they're not going to work. Three swim baits I feel like is great for the river at a good price point. Number one is the Sneaky Pete. It's really good for current.
Oh
It
yeah.
has a like a rattle inside of it. It does really well. It's like 7 inches. Another one is the KGB Shad. It does pretty well in water. Sinks a little. I mean, in the river, sinks a little bit faster, but it's still not super expensive. And then also the Trick Shad as well. They both do well in their river too. But
Awesome. And then 7 inch size, would you say the 7 inch size is like the best starter size or 6 inch, 8 inch? What do you think?
6 to 7. That way you don't outclass yourself. I mean, you can catch all kind of fish in that size range before you get up into like the 8, 9, 10, 11 inch. Then you kind of outclass the small fish. You maybe going for one fish on a trip and that's it. But piggybacking back on Marshall, man, being real, the Lews Super Duty is probably one of the better swim bait
Hmm.
reels at a low price point, man. I still use one after 3 years. It gets the job done if you just starting. It's a great size reel, 300 size, and it's not really expensive as well too.
Yeah. I've heard good things, not just from you, but from other people
Hmm.
on that rail. And then I'm going to ask the three of you guys because I hear a lot of mixed answers on this one. What about line? We doing fluoro? We doing braid the fluoro? What size? Like, like Manny, what about you? What are you doing with, let's say, a 7 inch? There it is. P line CX 20 pound.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
I love this
Nice.
line.
Yeah, I used a tactical. I need to try that one.
I've I've only broken off a few times. Like if they really get me into rocks, but dude, I've gone through some hairy stuff, and that 20 pound throws 10-inch baits all the way to down. I've thrown
Yeah.
the DRT Ghost on 20 pound, so I mean it chunks it. You just got to make sure you don't try to snap the rod when you cast on something that big. But it's pretty solid. I like it, and it's low memory. The diameter is very, very small. It's at 0.39 millimeter. So that's why I look for the diameter, so I can put a lot of line on my reel, because I can cast way better when there's more line on there.
Do you use a good bit of backing when you spool up?
Yeah, I do, because I go through it so much. I'll put about like 10-pound, 8-pound backing, maybe like 30 yards or 40 yards on there, and then that's
nice.
Curado 200s, dude. I love those things.
Yeah, that's what's up. I think right now I'm staying at 17 to 20 with that tactical. Marshall, what about you, man? What are you recommending for line?
I'm using the Strike King Contra. I use fluoro. I've tried using braid, and I don't really recommend it. I lost way too many fish. They're shaking the hooks too easy. But I use 15 pound if I'm throwing a smaller one like this 6.25 inch clutch.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm throwing a 7-inch or bigger glide bait, it's normally a 17 to 20 pound fluoro.
Okay. And then Eric, what about you, man? Because sometimes I know you mix it up with braid too. So
I do. So if I'm fishing for bass, I like 20-pound fluoro for anything under 7 inches, then 25-pound fluoro for anything 8, 9, 10, 11 inches. And I'm fishing for striper, I'm throwing like 80 pounds straight braid.
Yeah. You don't think the visibility, how much does the visibility matter to you when you're chasing those striper with 80-pound braid? Are you looking for stained water, or are you doing that in clear water anyway?
I use it anywhere. Just because I have to be able to control the fish. Like if I'm fishing in a river that's only, I don't know, 60 feet across, I have to be able to turn that fish super quick and get them from going in the woods. And also the other part of it is if I'm throwing a glide bait that's 9 to 11 inches, the braid allows me to control the bait a little bit more, make it more snappy, and control the glide in moving water as well too. So the braid allows me to work a little bit better in moving water and have control.
Okay. Good points. And then for question number 2, Eric, I'm going to kick this one to you, man. I know you had a question you wanted to ask these guys, bro. What you got?
So for you guys, what was the first experience you had on the river that made you think that glide baits will actually work?
First experience. Dang, that's a good question.
Man, he's thinking like 15 years back.
Dude, for real.
He caught too many big fish. That man got too many videos.
How old are you, Manny?
You know, 52.
Yeah, ain't no 52, bro.
33.
You ain't that old, bro. You ain't that. I'm older than you.
I'm 33. No, I've been fishing for a while, but I would say the first time that like got me on that was like one thing I would do when I was first starting fishing was I wasn't catching nothing, so I'm like, well, I guess look at nature. But then I was like, well, let's observe the bait fish. What are they doing? And then I saw them like shad just getting busted, big baits, and I was like, damn, imagine if I had something like that. And this was before like swim baits was really, really out there, in like 2010, 2011. And then finally I saw, I think on one of the Bass Pro guys doing like with the Strike King Money Minnow. It was like a 5-inch paddle tail. And that's kind of what I started with, dude, just from the bank, and I instantly just started ripping fish. And I was like, yo, this is insane. This is a game changer.
That's awesome. So you started with a paddle tail, dude.
Yeah, those little money minnow paddle tails, dude. Throwing them, and next thing you know, just upgrading up S waivers, you name it.
Yeah, it's crazy where one thing takes you, man.
Dude, have you ever heard of the trout glider? It was like,
yeah,
you heard it?
People hate that bait, man.
Dude, people hate on that bait. But since we get trout stocked in our rivers, oh, dude, we would rip them out there on the river with the trout glider, even though it was just like a piece, like probably ABS, just crappy bait. But, dude, it was hilarious.
Like $15 back in the day, they used to hate it, man. On this
I gotta look that up, man. I ain't never heard of that, bro.
Like the knockoff bull shads, dude, the little tiny, you find them online for like $10 back in the day.
That's crazy. Some black market. Marshall, what about you, man? When did it click for you?
Well, I know you like this bait. I'm not sure if you use the bigger size one, but I've always been a big fan of like the Zoom Super Flukes, and I'm talking about like the
Mm,
Magnum ones. Like
yeah, yeah,
they're like 7.5 inches,
yeah.
and that presentation is pretty similar to the glide bait, where you're walking that dog, and with flukes, especially on the river, the hook set ratio is not always the best.
No,
So
no.
I started throwing glide baits. I mean, not identical, but it's pretty similar in presentation, and the hookup ratio was really the main reason I wanted to try it, and ended up trying it out and working a lot better. So
Yeah, I've got some of those the Z-Mad Magnum size ones, the 7 inches.
yeah,
But yeah, bro, it's no joke. That hookup ratio really is like you really have to perfect that, man. It's hard.
dude,
It's
it'll
hard.
it'll make you want to snap a rod some days.
Yeah. No, it has, man.
Yeah.
It'll mess you up really bad, especially if you throw it for striper. That is the most aggravating thing, man. Like when I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm good. I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, never mind.
No.
For me, I'll tell y'all when it clicked for me. I was on the Savannah River, first time, never been out there, and a like 13-inch gizzard shad, like was dying on the surface, and my buddy netted it, and we thought it was a bass at first from far away, but we looked at it and we were like, "Holy smokes, this thing is giant!" And I didn't have any swim baits at the time, and that's when it clicked for me. I was like, maybe it will work. But then, I got some working class citizens. I waited for like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys have ever waited for those drops. Like they send that email. Shout out to them because they send that email that says, "Go ahead and put your stuff in the cart."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it'll be sold out by the time you select. So I finally, after like 3 drops, I got some working class citizens. Man, underrated rod. I snapped them and slung them into a pond. Both of them. Never saw them again. I think I made like a total of 5 casts. So I gave up for like a year. I was like, ah. So yeah, that was Eric. What about you, man? I know it's your question, but when did it click for you, man?
Well, I'm gonna be real with a couple of things. Like I started fishing swim baits more so in like ponds and reservoirs, and bro, I was mid. I was just okay. I caught more bedfish with swim baits than I actually catching swim baits on a daily. But I actually went to one of our local rivers in the summertime. My buddy said they're eating big baits on the river, and I was pumped. During the summertime, our rivers get really low, and it was super clear. And man, I had my first 3 or 4 interactions. One with like a 6, 7 pound largie on the river. Then I had like 2 shoal bass fighting for a bait at once. And after
Mm,
that, man, I was done. Like I was hooked. It was a
yeah,
wrap.
yeah. It'll do it to you, man. It's super addicting. And then as far as like what's the one moment, like I know we just talked about when it clicked, but what was that one? Do you guys remember the fish catch that just really like changed something in your brain chemically? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you guys remember like that fish catch that you were like, "Oh, like shoot, like I need to do this more." Do you guys?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, you do, Marshall. What can you tell us about it?
yeah. It was Josh from Clutch sent me some of those 6.25 inch back in the day,
Yeah.
and my favorite place to fish a swim bait is like super crystal clear water where you can see like
Mm-hmm.
12 foot down. And I was in this lake, chopping that thing, and I'm about 7 foot off the boat, or I was in the kayak, and I saw this bass from like 10 foot down come straight up and just demolish it. And it was after that, I was like, dude, this is so fun. I never want to throw anything else.
Yeah. Manny, do
Yeah.
you remember?
Oh yeah. So like same similar situation with crystal clear rivers. Dude, we would catch here and there, right, with terminal tackle, and then we started throwing swim baits, and it was just like night and day difference. We were catching bigger fish, more fish, just the reactions you'd get, and then you'd be like cypress trees lined up, and you bomb it past it, bring it right to the edge of that tree, and just go. They just crush it against the tree, dude. I'm telling you, man, that was just like life changing. Like, all right, we're not throwing terminal tackle anymore. It's
Yeah, dude. Oh man, if you guys are listening right now, like for those of you listening, if you've never thrown a swim bait or if you've never had that feeling, we can all tell you from personal experience. It is a little bit. It's a little bit like crack. Like it's it's an unexplainable feeling. I'll never forget like my heart racing when I saw my first like swim bait fish like on the oak mulgi.
Oh
Like
yeah,
he,
there is.
you know, when they mimic the bait, they turn with the bait, and I was like, oh my god, this is really happening right now. No way, no way. And then it was just like bam. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. It was I was on the river with Eric and he gave me an old KGB Shad. I mean, this thing was beat the hell. Like it was on its last leg and he goes, here, throw this. And I think we were in like 2 feet of water and I
Yeah.
watched a shoal bass just come demolish it. Dude, my eyes like got my pupils got dilated. So yeah, it was, I mean, it's incredible what it does to you. Let me ask you guys this. So is a swim bait bite better than a top water bite?
yes.
Manny's saying yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
Marcel. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not like. I think so.
When
There's
when
some.
when you can see them chase it for 10 foot, I think it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They
Oh
hit it
yeah.
and go sideways, and you see their whole body. Or you get a boat side eat, and they just smash it right in front of the kayak. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
different level at that point.
Yeah. Man, just watching them stalk the bait is just the best thing. It is the best thing to watch, man. But we're gonna move on to number 3 before we get down lost that whole memory lane. So when you guys are breaking down a river, like you're out fishing any time of the year, what are some of the clues, some of the puzzle pieces that you're looking for that'll tell you like, hey, like I think a glide bait could work really well right now. And I know for most of us, we already go out with a glide bait in hand or in the lineup. But think for someone that's maybe newer that's listening right now and they're like, I really want to get into this, but what kind of signs are we looking for? Manny, I'll kick it over to you.
Dude, if you see water and you're on the water, now for real though, like I'd say, dude, if you got areas where you can parallel the bank, there's rock structure, same things, similar things that you would throw a spinner bait, crankbait, anything
Mm,
that's moving chatterbait, and you're gonna bang it off that cover and bring it around. Any of that, you can throw a swim bait. It's the same thing. It's just a bigger profile, is what I always think, and that's why kind of when people were like wanting me to, hey, how do you throw the swim bait? I'm like, hey, are you good at throwing the spinner bait? Are you good at throwing a chatterbait? Do you know how those angles work? If you don't, start there because you're going to lose a lot of money throwing swim baits and you're going to lose stuff. So if you could rather lose a $5 chatterbait, spinner bait, you're gonna have a lot more success early on if you're able to do those first steps. And that's how I learned, and then people have learned from me doing that. But dude, those anything I would say, yeah, rocks, trees, anything you can run a spinner bait by, dude, you're gonna throw the
yeah.
same swim bait and it's gonna work the same way.
Dog, you need to tell me where you're finding $5 spinner baits and chatterbaits, Brian. I would really love to know.
Hey, those Z-Man, the freaking things are like 16 jackhammers are like $16. They're
I
crazy.
wish, bro. They're $18, man.
Oh, they're 18 over there. Dang.
Yeah, hey, but I'm gonna tell you something, dude. I think that's the bait that I've caught. Other than a swim bait, that's the bait I've caught the most fish with on a river. Is a jackhammer and an Evo tungsten. I've
Mm-hmm.
caught such big fish this year off of those. Just throwing them, just like a glide bait, just like you just said. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Marshall, what about you, man? Give us some tips for beginners, what they could be looking for, to get that glide bait locked into their hands.
Yeah, just I prefer clear water, deep drop offs, uh, lots of blowdowns, and big, like if you just see a giant rock bigger than any other rock in your section of the river, normally that's going
Mm,
to be a fish beside it. And you guys know that the best thing about a glide bait is how you can step it. So
mm-hmm.
like a spinner bait, you got to throw it and retrieve into a straight
Yeah,
line. And that glide bait, if you're working a brush pile or a rock, you can step it around that structure and have it, just glide to the left or whatever. And normally when you can do that on a bait, you're going to catch a fish.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want to kind of hang on to this a little bit, Marshall, because so what you just said, when I was a beginner, I was like, whatever, that kind of stuff doesn't matter as long as you get it around. No, but when you cut and like you said, when you step it correctly, and like even when you're fishing, I would use the example of on the lake around boat docks, and you swipe it under and then out.
Yep.
So it's kind of explain to someone who's listening, Marshall, how you would do that. Do you adjust your retrieve? Like how would you say step it when you're
Yeah.
fishing a glide
So
around structure?
for me, it's all about the reel. It's really not
Yeah.
working the rod tip, so it's like that first initial, how I normally do it, it's normally a half turn, half turn. So it's like that first half turn is quick, and that second half turn, you pause it and you
Hmm.
let it just glide off to the left or right or whatever angle you're working it. So you're watching that glide bait, and then that next turn, when you pause it, it's going to go that way. You let it glide, and then that's when you start back your twitch, and then you just keep on letting it sidestep. And it's all about experience. And you guys can, I recommend go out to a swimming pool or anywhere you can just try
Mm-hmm.
practicing stepping and really just focus on like, I'm going to cast this bait right here, and I'm going to try to get it to go 2 foot to the left and just practice that. And really getting good at that on the river is going to increase a lot of bites for you.
Yeah. Yeah. One quick tip for those of you guys listening. One way that I learned without losing baits. So I would go to a pond, and like if there was a shadow, I would try to work my bait as close as I could to the shadow. Or like if there was a corner, like like the shadow was creating a shape, I would try to treat that like a rock or something. And that's how I practiced. Like I would practice on a pond with shadows, because if I practice with trees, I'm gonna I'm
Yeah.
out 100. I'm out $100. So that would be pretty rough. But Eric, what about you, man? What are some signs you're looking for now in your experience out here in these Georgia rivers, man?
Yeah, for me, when we're talking about blowdowns and laydowns, this is one that kind of really hit home. I like submerged timber that has like a 1 to 2 foot gap between that and the
Mm,
surface. That is a spot when I'm in the kayak and I say that's a swim bait spot. Like I will literally put down another rod and grab my swim bait and fish it directly over a laydown that's like submerged 2 feet under the water. I mean, that is like money on the river. And
yeah,
especially if you have a tree that's going to be parallel to the bank, not necessarily like sticking out straight towards your kayak or vessel, but one that's parallel typically holds a little bit more fish sometimes as well. And I do love clear water from the visual standpoint, but I also like that green jade color water because
hmm,
sometimes fish can get kind of finicky when it's like crystal clear. Like everything has to be perfect. And that's sometimes when I start questioning it in my mind, like, man, is this fish seeing my braid? We kind of went through it, Lou.
we
Like,
did. Yeah, we did.
did they see my braid? But I like the jade green color water, and also I do like clear water, but I like the jade that has a little bit of stain, a little bit, because it can
Yeah,
ambush the bait a little bit more.
yeah,
And for my new people, man, as well, this is kind of a reference. Somebody once told me, man, like when you're fishing with live bait, and
yep,
if you get it by a tree, you're gonna be like, that's a bad spot, for a fish to be at. That's the same spot you want to put your swim bait at.
yeah,
Current breaks, behind like a cutout in the bank. Those are all high percentage shots and boulders, like everybody says. And sometimes behind a boulder, because that is a current break. There's no current there, so a fish can sit,
mm,
ease out to the current, then go back behind the boulder as well too.
awesome. Those phenomenal tips. That's a little bit of juice there for people listening. So
And I just want to throw one more thing in there.
yeah,
I mean,
come
this
on.
may just be my personal preference, but I've found the more I've thrown glide baits, especially around areas like Eric was talking about, I've had to really make myself pause and do this more. But sometimes, especially around a big boulder where the current break is in the back, I'll work that glide bait and I'll just let it, as soon as it gets behind it, I'll just let it sit there for like 7 seconds
Hmm.
before I even twitch it. And sometimes just letting it sit there on the pause, they'll just absolutely crush it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Dead
It's
still.
almost like, yeah, it's almost like a in my mind, I picture like that mega bass suspended jerk bait. You know, that long pause they talk about, and they'll come and eat it. So it definitely plays on the
And
river with a
you
swim bait.
know what's really got me, invested in longer pauses was like me being on the kayak, messing with my motor. Like I'll have my little motor
Yeah,
guide
yeah,
remote. So I'll
yeah,
have that glide bait out. I'll be working it. And I'm like, okay, I'm over here messing with the motor. And while I've done mess with it for 12 seconds, all of a sudden one comes up and just demolishes it. So
yeah.
they like that pause.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, let me ask. I'm glad you said that, man, because now I want to ask you guys this before Eric gives y'all the next question. Let me ask you guys this because I kind of had a lot of moments with this when a fish is chasing, guys. Okay, and they're hot on the glide. Are you guys? How are you guys responding? Are you speeding up? Are you
Speed up.
making the speed up, Manny? What about you?
It depends. I'll do like a stutter step kind of thing, like a
Okay.
quick wow, wow, and then on that pause, and then see how they react. And if they keep coming, I'll rip it away because then usually on that rip is when they're going to want to hit it.
Yeah.
And they start
Yeah.
chasing it harder. But that's what I usually do is like a quick, like a double tap, triple tap, and then pause,
Okay.
and then because if I get too close to me, then usually they'll see me and then they'll take off.
Yeah. Eric, what about you, man?
I kind of speed it up or do exactly what Manny says. That little stutter step. Man, one weird thing that I noticed Lou as well too. If I'm fishing a conventional bait like a jig, and I'm
Yeah.
bringing it back and they're following it, I can drop it down and they'll hit it. But I feel like on swim baits though, I have to kind of speed it up and make them react or do a stutter step.
Yeah. I wonder why that is, man. I don't know. I've only ever had one. I was on the phone with you. I've only ever had a fish one time chase a glide bait. I took it out of the water. I dropped it in the water, and he was dumb enough to eat it. But that was one time out of like,
That's
you know,
nuts.
dozens and dozens of times. So I wonder what it is about that, but that's a really good point. So either you stutter step, so you're mixing with the retrieve, or you're speeding up. Um, and if they're hot on the bait, would you guys say? I know a lot of people when they're beginning, they freak out, they freeze. I used to do it. They just freeze.
Yeah.
Would you guys say completely remove that for now as you're learning? Just go with mixing up your retrieve instead of just pausing completely.
It depends how hot that it comes out, honestly. Because sometimes if
Yeah,
you pause it, and if they're coming out hot, then you want to move it. But if they're coming out kind of slow, then I usually let it just sit and just see what they how they react and let them get closer, then pull it just away, let them get a little closer, and then you speed it up, and usually they'll come chasing after, like what the hell is that? And they
yeah,
want to get
okay,
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And as well too, it's a lot of different types of followers. If the fish is like 10 to 15 feet behind
Yeah.
your bait trailing it, that's not
yeah,
a hot fish, man. Your chances of getting that
Mhm.
fish to bite are pretty small. But if it's almost on behind the tail of the bait, and you can see like his gills flaring up, and it's going all crazy and erratic with it, you got a really good shot at catching that fish.
yeah. Yeah, and I want to paint a picture for the listener too. Like, guys, for those of you listening, I want to kind of paint how these guys are fishing. So they're talking about all these adjustments that they're going to make. They're talking about responding like this or doing this or where's the fish position, how hot is he on it. I want you to realize this. They're also dealing with moving water. And as they're thinking through all this, the kayak is literally potentially rotating, or there might be going down shoals soon enough, or there might be a laydown coming up that they have to maneuver and paddle away from. So for those of you guys listening, I just kind of want to keep that in your mind. We're not talking about lake fishing with swim baits. Keep that in mind. We're talking about current, moving water, tight spots, skinny water. Sometimes, yes, there is some slack water involved, but it's just very dynamic, and you have to be observing everything. So, that'll lead us into the next question. Eric, I'm gonna throw that question to you, man. Question 4.
Yeah. Oh, and just kind of the piggyback before we go to the next question as
Yeah,
well, Lou,
yeah,
is that if you get bit on your swim bait, just don't stop. Because a lot of times, even with a spotted bass, they hit it and they're stunned. And if you keep on reeling, they'll come back
yeah,
and eat it again, man, on the same retrieval. So if you
Yeah.
get bit, don't freak out and say, oh, keep working your bait.
Keep working. Yeah.
Because in nature, that's like a fish getting hit. It ain't gonna stop.
Yeah.
It's
That's
gonna
a
run
very good
off.
point.
It's
Yeah.
gonna
That's a
run
good
off.
point.
So,
Yeah.
and you can also throw back in again and start to
Yeah.
retrieve off and get bit. I've had that happen, a good bit of times.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. And that, talking about retrievals and everything, that goes perfectly into what you're going to ask next. So I'll give that over to you.
Yeah, one question for you guys from a retrieval standpoint: do you prefer to work your glide bait upstream or downstream?
I kind of like to go horizontal with the
Okay.
current. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not throwing up or down. It's probably never going to be throwing down and pulling up. Very
Mm-hmm.
rarely. If anything, it's going to be, horizontal to the bank or throwing to something upriver and pulling it down.
Okay, with the Florida water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, for me, honestly, I think our rivers might be a little different.
Hmm.
Uh, I go either way, up or down, because the baits, that's how they're usually running for me. I've tried in the rivers, like down here horizontally, you'll get some come out, but whenever you're going as close as you can get to that cover, that's when our bass down here over here in Texas, dude, they just
Yeah.
can't resist. Because when the shad are running, they turn a little sideways when they're running against the bank, and then they turn a little bit, and then they just try to go as fast as they can upriver or down around main covers, especially if they're getting chased. And when the bass see that, dude, they just come and just pin it against the corner. For me down
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. Yeah. I think, as we think about that, guys, so how important is your gear ratio when it comes to that?
You want
I think
to,
it's
yeah, you want a faster. I mean, I like a 7 to 1 to 1, 7 2 to 1. I've tried some slower ones. I guess it just depends on how you like to work your glide bait, but I think a 7 2 to 1 probably about perfect.
Okay. Manny, what about you?
mine are typically like 7.4 to 7.6.
A little bit
They're
faster.
a little bit faster for me. Anything slower on the river, I think you're going to just be trying to pick up too much line, and you're not going to catch up to that fish in time. Unless
Yeah.
you're throwing like huddle stands or maybe you want to crawl baits and stuff like that. But glide bait specifically, we're talking, I would say for me personally, I like 7.4 to 7.6.
Okay.
Okay.
Eric, what about you?
Yeah, 7.4 all the way up to like an 8, just to take up slack in the line, like line management, especially on floating down a lot of times. So if you're floating down towards your bait, that creates slack in it, and that's
Yeah.
sometimes the reason why I use braid to pick up line and control the bait. And it's even harder with a big glide bait. Like once you get 9, 10, 11 inches, you really have to be able to take up slack a lot on that bait.
So I mean, we can agree good moderate speed 7 and then potentially up to 8 just to control the action of that glide bait, because I think we can agree totally different than throwing a crankbait or a spinner bait. A lot of times that's just a straight retrieve, and you can, you know, speed up and keep maintain that retrieve, or you can slow down. But I think with a glide bait, it's much more different. And I mean, I think we've all seen it. Action can be affected with just the slightest bit of slack or a current change or anything like that. So, and then as far as that goes, getting back to the line. So, Eric, you mentioned that to control it better, you like to use braid. Why does braid give you better control in those situations?
Yeah, braid doesn't really have any stretch. So whenever you do a quarter reel hand turn or a half a reel turn, you're getting a direct response. And like I
Yeah.
said, you're already moving in the kayak. Braid also floats as well too. So with bigger baits, especially bigger glide baits, you need to be able to pick up slack to make it cut and do the glide motion correctly, especially as you're moving towards the bait, because you're
Okay.
always moving in a kayak.
And it's more important as we go up in size, right?
hmm
Okay. Awesome. So then, as we move on from that, and we kind of start to, we've talked about some beginner tips. Let's talk a little bit about mindset, because I think something that isn't discussed enough with glide baits is mindset, is kind of like where your head's at and how important that is. What's for you guys, what is like one glide bait belief or rule or a mindset that a lot of people misunderstand. I'll give you an example. For me, I think people know that, it's important not to give up, but I don't think they understand that it just takes one bite to make things click and change everything for you. Manny, what do you got?
Mm. Man, that is honestly like probably the biggest thing where a lot of beginners go wrong is their mindset and the confidence. If you don't have any confidence in that bait, you're not going to catch, in my opinion, or you're not going to be consistent or catch anything big, I think. So, like, I always go out there and just try to visualize what the bait's doing and just like really get into the moment. It sounds cheesy and all, but like, dude, you got to lock in. And when you're out there chunking it pretty far out and you're bringing it in, you're visualize what's it going to do, how are you going to respond? The next thing's going to happen. Like it's going to come out of nowhere. It just really is just staying calm in that moment and just having that confidence that you are throwing it the right way, even though you're not getting bit. But at the end of the day, you're throwing exactly how it's going to work.
Awesome. Marshall, what about you?
Yeah, I think a couple things. I would say just bring one rod only. That way you don't make yourself grab a little, but I'd say bring two rods and have glide baits on both of them just in case one of them snaps. Okay. So you you float down your river. You got nothing but glide baits to fish all day. So you can't switch to anything else. And the biggest thing about glide baits versus any other bait, like a chatterbait or spinnerbait, you can kind of chunk that thing and not pay attention and be swirling around on your kayak. A glide bait, you have to really be looking at your bait. You have to be dialed in, locked in, and you got to be paying attention to what your bait's doing. So it takes a lot of like attention to detail, and you have to stay focused a lot more with a glide bait than you do any other type of bait, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's good. That's good. You heard the man, guys. Only go with one rod or two if you snap a bait off.
Yeah.
Eric, what about you, man?
The same thing those guys say. Just really stay focused. And Marshall hit it just right. Like you gotta watch your bait, man. You'll have fish dart out from nowhere. That gives you a clue to where those fish may relate to when you're actually fishing on that river. If you come back again, just stay focused. You see the highlights on Instagram and YouTube, but it is hours upon hours upon hours of throwing a big bait. Keep it in your hands and really focus on the half percentage spots.
Let me ask you guys this. What's the longest you guys have gone? Like now that you're experienced swim bait, anglers, what's the longest you guys have gone without getting a bite on the glide? Where it was like, man, like screw this. Like I'm over it. Like what, Manny?
Dude, I'd probably say like a full 10, 12-hour day. Just some of those days that they just don't want to bite it. Dude, it is detrimental like to your mindset and just like, golly, like, dude, I suck. Do I even know what I'm doing? I'm gonna sell all my gear.
Question your whole life, bro. One little green fish can make you just have a
Dude,
crisis. Yeah.
exactly.
What
Yeah,
about
so
you, Marshall?
Yeah. I mean, probably the same answer. I've gone out there. I feel like on the river, it's a little more consistent to at least get a bite. But like
Mm-hmm.
lake fishing, I've gone out there all day and not got a bite. Or you go out there all day and then hour 5 you catch your one fish and it's an 8-pounder. So just got to stick to it.
mhm.
Yeah. Eric, what about you, man? What's the longest you've gone?
Multiple trips, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably 2 whole trips. Yeah,
Now is that like still like are we talking multiple trips with a 7-inch or a 9-inch or a 6-inch or
like
mixed? Like,
9-inch bait. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been on trips with you, man. It's been like day and a half.
Oh yeah,
Go
duh.
back.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you switch it up?
Yeah, I'll look at him from the other side and say, "Hey man, you want to throw this chatterbait?
Dude, you
I've
want
caught like 10 fish."
to know some bull crap? It wasn't too
Yeah.
long after I got into glide bait fishing. I started getting all these new glide baits and my dad seeing me catch all these fish. So I gave him one of my hand-me-downs that I was like, oh, you can have this, try it out. Because he was like, man, them glide baits are working. I was like, here's your man. He threw it out probably on the 5th cast. He caught like a 7-pound bass. And I
Oh,
was like, This does not happen, okay? Just to let you know, this doesn't happen.
That's pure luck. That's awesome.
Yeah, but your dad's a cool dude, bro. When I see him
Yeah.
on YouTube, he's a cool dude, bro. So that makes a lot of sense, man. That he would throw it out there.
Yeah,
Was he working it right at least? Like, was he chopping it right
dude,
in it, or was he just?
he wasn't even chopping. He was slow
Oh
reeling, where it was
God! Oh
kind of
God!
just like doing that, and it just freaking crushed it. And I'm like, get out of here, dude.
Dude, you just go dropping back off at the boat ramp.
Yeah,
Oh man, yeah, I've gone some. I've gone a couple days like just out here on Del Hollow, man. I was excited to catch a largie on the glide, and I got hit twice, and 2 days no bites, and then on the third day I didn't even throw it, man. They were just crushing a spinner bait, and I was like, you know what? It's like what you said, man. I was literally questioning my life. I was like, I really suck. Like, I was like, I really suck at this. So, but yeah, it can be tough, man. Well, as we hit the hour mark and we start wrapping up, such an awesome conversation. I want to ask you guys, for those people tuning in, one by one, let's talk about your favorite, you know, your favorite glide right now, custom made, designed, handmade, whatever. Like, for example, for me, this is the York glide, this is the trout color. And then maybe an ABS glide that's a little bit cheaper. This is the Artisan glide by Sink Fishing. Been trying to figure this one out. I've been enjoying it here. So let's go down the line. And for the people listening, and for those of you guys listening, all the gear that the guys have talked about and the swim baits, I'm going to link it down below for y'all. We really want y'all to, you know, take this to heart and be encouraged, and hopefully get into a little bit of glide fishing. Just don't come fish where we fish. Manny, what you got, man?
Dude, that's facts. Man, I don't have it on hand with me right now, but it is a York Glide, but it's called the Ace. Dude,
Yes.
the Ace for me, dude, is like oh my gosh. I figured, like, I worked that bait for like probably a month to figure it out and just figure out how I want to swim. And then after that, dude, it was just like lights out, and I haven't put it down. Now I've forced myself to get Caleb and I've been talking, and he's like, you need to start throwing the York Glide some more. So
Yeah.
I've been throwing them more now. So I put the aces away, and dude, but the ace is probably is like my favorite. I caught my first 10-pounder on a glide bait on that this past summer in August. Dude, that thing was
on the
beautiful.
on the lake, bro? On the lake or the river?
That was it's a river dammed up.
Okay. Okay.
And,
All right. It's still a river. We're cool. We're cool.
yeah, the Colorado River. Oh crap! Hey, cut that out, actually.
I tell you what, I'm gonna bleep it for you, bro. I'm gonna bleep it for you.
But no,
Don't
dude.
worry.
On a true
In Colorado, right? The Colorado River in Colorado, right?
exactly. No,
Manny is in Colorado, guys.
yes, sir. Dude, so the Ace, and then the Matt lures, the Strong Shad. I think it's a Strong Shad. It's like a super slow sink. The 7-inch one, bro. I've caught a 9.4 on the river with that. Like, dude, that thing is a beast.
Nice.
Hey,
Nice.
let me ask Manny a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, Manny, is there any time you'll pick the swimmer over the glide for the
Oh,
river?
that's a great question. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yes, there are different seasons when they want a burner bait versus a glide bait, and it's just usually I would say probably starting in for me in Texas, I would say like September till
Okay.
now is when they want burners really well, more than a glide. But then you'll still catch them on a glide, but you'll catch the bigger ones that want it on a burner bait. Then you can
Mm.
burn it, and then that's the strong shad. It doesn't blow out or nothing, dude. That thing just freaking burns, and you just pause it and it just sits there. But that I would say that, and then not really in the springtime for me. I think glide baits in the springtime kill it for me. That and paddle tails.
Okay.
Nice. Nice. Marshall, what you got, man? Your budget friendly option and then your higher end option, bro.
well, I'm going to give you a super low budget friendly option, and this was the first
Yes, sir.
glide bait I ever bought, and I used it for 2 or 3 years straight. I think it was the only one I used for years, because I was one of those people that always said, I will never spend $60 on a glide bait. And like now I'm spending 140, 160.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the one I started off with was the River to Sea S Waver. And like the 6-inch ones start off at $18.99. And then the 8-inch ones are like 28. And I started off with those for years. So I'd recommend anybody that wants to buy a cheap bait, the River to Sea S Waver is pretty good. Now, that they come out, the trick shads, you can find them for like $32 sometimes when they're on sale. And I feel like that's a pretty good deal for what you get. And
Yeah. Was that the 5-inch?
now
Sorry, was that the 5-inch you
this
had
is
there?
the 6-inch ABS
Okay.
trick shad.
Nice.
And it pretty good budget friendly. I feel like anything under $40 is you're dirt cheap for a glide bait. I know
Yeah.
people still say like $35 is crazy, and I'm like, it's really not. But
Yeah.
now my favorite glide bait, obviously you guys see me post them all the time, is the Throwback.
Oh yeah, dirty.
And like these retail for $139.99, but like the action on them, the first one I ever got, because I could never justify spending it, I traded a trolling motor battery for one, and then after I used it, I was like, I'm gonna buy one of every color. So
My man out here hustling, boy.
dude,
Hustling with
if
them.
you can find a good glide bait on Marketplace, it never hurts to be like, I'll trade
Yeah.
all this crap for it, because you never know.
Yeah, they might take it. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Eric, what about you, man?
Hey, shouts out to Marshall, man. Funny story. My favorite glad bait was a trade on Facebook Marketplace. I traded a rod for the glad bait. So my favorite glad bait is the 9-inch BGC, Big Game Customs. Heavy bait, man. It's like 5 ounces. I've thrown it to my freaking shoulder hurts on the river. But I mean, I've caught 19-inch spots. I caught multiple striper on it, man. Like it just gets big.
Is,
Suspensive bait. What's up?
is that the one that sounds like an atomic bomb when you drop
Yes.
it in the water?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's it.
we'll be fishing this like skinny water, and I just hear swoosh, and I'm like, "Was that a fish?" Like, nah, man, that's just me casting, bro. Get over it. It's gonna be it's like 7 a.m. and I'm already like, oh my god, he's on. It's like, no, that's gonna be the rest of the day. Just get used to it. Yeah.
I,
Do you have it on hand, bro? Do you have it anywhere near you?
It's in my garage, man.
Oh, okay. I was about to say
Yeah.
that thing's a monster. Yeah.
I
It's
do
What were you
want
gonna say,
to
Marshall?
I do want to throw like one more little pro tip out there. I'm not sure if we
Yeah,
hit
dude.
on it a little bit, but I'd say figure out what type of bait fish your lake has in it and try to imitate that. And
Yeah.
like one of my lakes has a bunch of like threadfin shad that are about the size of the 7-inch metros. And the other lake I have that I was just telling Eric before we started the stream, it has American hickory shad. I'm not sure if you guys know too much about them, but the Georgia
Never
state
heard of that.
record, the Georgia state record American hickory shad was 8 pounds 2 ounces. So
Wow.
the majority of the shad in my lake and one of my main lakes, I see them all the time, 15-inch shad. Okay. And like people are out here on this lake throwing these little baits, and I'm like, these bass out here are eating giant shad. And that's when like the DRT has been coming in clutch for me lately, the 9, just because it looks
Yeah.
more like an American hickory shad. But I would just say figure out what type of bait fish your lake has in it and try to imitate that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Phenomenal. That's actually I'm glad you hit that. That's actually a phenomenal tip. Definitely do your research before.
Big facts.
Yeah. Yeah. So Eric, back to you, man, on that. I think we were doing a budget friendly option now for you.
Yep. I got two baits budget friendly for
Yep.
the. I got the Sneaky Pete, which is a great one, like 7 to 8 inches. Then I
Okay.
have the 8-inch new trick shad. That one does really well in current, a little bit bigger, but a
Yes,
great.
it does. Yeah, it does
Um,
really well. What's it retail for again, man? That 8-inch.
isn't it like 55? Isn't it
I
around 50?
think so. I think
I
so. If
think.
you're yeah,
Misspoke.
if you're listening right now, yeah, that 8-inch, I threw it in current, and I was like, man, for $55 and a bigger bait, like
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is crazy.
We need
It's
links.
nuts.
We
Oh
need
yeah,
links.
we're gonna drop links. We're gonna drop links.
I got one
Yeah.
more, Lou. I know we talked a lot about the river, but
hmm
one bait that's legit for the lakes and reservoirs is the gantrail. That was the bait for me that like caught so many big fish early on reservoirs, and it's budget
Nice,
friendly, catches them.
nice. Nice. There's phenomenal options. But yeah, we're gonna link everything for you guys listening. We'll drop links on there. And if you guys have personal links, we'll add those as well. But guys, if you could give final thoughts, one piece of advice to the person that's really just trying to dip their toe in the water and get started, what's the first piece of advice you're going to give these guys to start chucking these swim baits in skinny water, or even if it's in a lake, whatever? What's the one piece of advice you could give them to say, hey man, like, you know, this is what you can do to get started right now? Manny, what you got?
Shoot, I would say don't go the most expensive, but don't go the cheapest equipment. Like minimum at least 200 series and the right load rated rod. You don't need a Calcutta, those gold Calcuttas. You don't need one of those. uh, but yeah, I would say that just don't go too crazy. Just get started. It's just getting started. Just getting your feet wet is the biggest thing I would say. Just you have to just jump all in.
Awesome. Marshall, what about you, man?
Well, maybe my answer is going to be a little different, but like just try around different places with your glide bait, because I have places that are super tough to get a bite on a glide, and then I have other places where it's like phenomenal. And if you can find a little pond or a section of river where they've never even seen a glide, you're going to do phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend just buy you, like you said, a pretty budget friendly glide bait, and then try to go somewhere that you feel like it hasn't been too pressured with glide baits, because some areas have been hit really hard and the fish have kind of adapted. The good thing about rivers is a lot of those fish haven't seen them, but I guess just try out somewhere and just try out different places and just don't give up.
Yeah. That's actually that's a good piece of advice. I've never heard it like that before. Eric, what about you, man?
I would say don't go too crazy at first. Don't buy 16 glad baits. Get maybe one or two, maybe three max, and really take time and learn those baits. Learn how to work them so you can
Yeah.
trust them. But
Mhm.
just get like two or three baits. Focus on those. You don't have to buy the most expensive ones, like Manny was saying. Focus on those. And also, too, early on, don't be scared to kind of mess around with your bait. You can put suspend strips on it to make it sink a little bit lower. If it's sitting too high up in the water column, you can put lead around the hooks. You're not married to how it comes out of the pipe. You can adjust it some and make it work for yourself.
So don't be afraid to try something different.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great piece of advice. Well, guys, man, I really appreciate this. I know this has been beneficial to me. Glide bait fishing has become so important in the last couple of years for me, and I'm excited to get some feedback from people listening about some of the gear they'll try, or just getting into this and trying it from a kayak, or trying it in moving water. I mean, it honestly is it's a life-changing experience. It really is if you figure it out. So I appreciate y'all's expertise, your tips, your knowledge, and your time. And thank you guys so much for being on here. Well, all right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. I know that I did. I have been getting into glide bait fishing a lot, especially in the river in the last couple of years. And honestly, it has been such an incredible experiencing chasing these bigger caliber fish with big baits. As always, guys, everything will be linked down below for you guys. The guys' setups, what they prefer to use. I will have that down below for y'all. Make sure you check out those links. Remember, we're a part of the Serious Angler Network, and we've got some phenomenal benefits for you guys down there as well, like the Omnia Pro membership. And if you're trying to get into a little plastic boat, and and if you're trying to get into a little plastic boat, trying to do some kayak fishing, and you like this episode, leave us a comment, leave us a rating. And for those of you that have come back, guys, thank you so much for being here with us again. We appreciate it. And as always, I hope you guys get to send it this week.